We're going to make a welt pocket to go with this iPad bag. We have contrast color lining that's going to go into the welt pocket as well. And here's the instructions from my class at Art Center. This is the welt pocket pattern itself with the measurements on it. And we come over here, and here is the pattern piece as it will look on the front of the bag itself. So you notice that the top of it is a ½ inch longer than the bottom, and that is so when we bring it down, it lines up at the bottom. Okay, so we're going to continue with the welt pocket. This is the pattern, and you see that this is 6 inches by a ½ inch, and I've drawn with marker on here so that you can see it. This is a ½ inch depth, and what I would do is draw a very straight, clean rectangle, probably with tailor's chalk or something that I can remove the lines from. I've only used marker because of the movie. And so we're going to stitch all the way around and make very clean corners, which means you put the needle down and you pivot, machine sewing at each corner, come all the way around, and I would recommend that you practice sewing a clean rectangle before you actually do this. Once this has been stitched, you are going to cut into this very center, and so I've drawn a line, and right on the pattern instructions we have what this cut needs to look like. And I snip with the small scissors, and I snip all the way to the corner without cutting the threads on each corner, so that what we have is a wedge. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to shove it through the hole, and I'm going to iron the seam open. So I'm going to take my iron, and the easiest way to do it is to iron the seam open first so that the seam is really clean. So I'm going to flip it back the other way, iron the seam open, and I'm going to iron the seam open on each side, and then I'm going to turn it to the reverse. And now we're going to make the folds for the welt, and the way we do that is that we already have a ½ inch here and we have a ½ inch on this side, so we're going to use those pieces to make the folds around. And before I do that, I'm going to pull this open and open this rectangle and iron it again, especially the corners so that they're really clean. Iron each side so that it's really open. And since I've already ironed that, that should be pretty well open. I have a line that I've made here and here, which I made in marker so that you could see it. And you'll notice that this is the side of the lining that you're actually going to see. So this is what you're going to see. I'm going to make this fold and flip it around, and you're going to see something like this. So now I have made these two folds, which are folding over this extra piece, folding to the center, folding to this line, folding to this line, bringing it up and bringing it up. And what I'm going to do is take a couple of hand stitches and anchor this corner together and attach it to this little triangle. Okay, so now I'm going to hand sew these two little fold pieces together so that when I turn it over, this crease where the two folds come together is right in the middle. And I'm not going to attach it to the front, I'm going to attach it to this extra triangle piece that's right here. So I'm going to grab a hold of that and grab a hold of these two, and we are out beyond. So I'm going to take a couple of hand stitches, anchor these two folds together, and I'm using a double thread because I'm not going to remove it. And the only reason I'm using red is so that you can see it. I would probably use pink to blend in. I'm going to take that, pull it over to here, anchor it right to the center of the triangle, into here, double check it to make sure how it's going to look there. So it's going to go to the center of the triangle, pull back, and just take a couple of stitches and anchor it in there. And to tie this off, I can take a tiny stitch, wrap it around 2 or 3 times, and make a knot. So once I get the knot done on both sides, I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to machine stitch from the front side. And I'm going to stitch inside the seam area all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, and that is going to hold this fold together so that when I flip it back over again and I bring this down, they will line up, this will be stitched down, and because I just hand anchored this to this corner, when I go to close up the pocket, I can pull it up like this and stitch around, around, and around, and that closes up the pocket.